I don't know what the hell you were watching. Whatever it is, you should change the channel. Alright, so now we've got our liver mixture here. You still have some cognac? Yep. Can I get a little bit? So our cream is also very heavy milk fat. Oh, you could have just told me it's right there. You could have just said it's right behind you. Alright. Our cream is also fairly heavy in milk fat percentage, so I'm going to add a little bit of cognac, thin it out just a touch. You don't have to, but I'm going to because I like to. And it also adds a nice flavor. Bossy.
Yes, sir.
Can I get that, Bossy. Can I get that blender top back, please? Shishini. No? Alright, I'm gonna get a little taste. Season her up again a little bit more. No, not the top of the blender top. Blender has two parts, a bottom and a top.
What's here?
Oh, you already got it. Again, you could have just told me it was right behind me. This is the blender top. That's a lid, I don't need a lid. Blender has two parts, the bottom, the motor, and the top. And a lid. This is the blender top. I think Boss's new name is going to be Blender Top. That's his rap name, actually.
I have not named you.
Yo, this is Blender Top coming at you, dropping some fat beats and Butchery science.
Okay, so now I've got some ramekins here. I've got a kitchen towel underneath. Does anyone know why that kitchen towel is there?
So it doesn't slide.
So what doesn't slide?
The ramen.
Yes. Guys, be specific in your information. What so it doesn't slide. The blender top doesn't slide, the ramekin doesn't slide, the kitchen towel doesn't slide, the oven doesn't slide. Be specific when you're giving people information. Fabulous towel. And now, you want to come up here and finish this? We're just going to fill these up just to the rim. Okay? See that? Just to the very little edge there, okay? You're going to fill all those. If there's any extra, we can do something else, okay? How much time do we have left? Very close to being done.
3 minutes.
3 minutes. So I'm preparing ice bath here so that when my foie gras comes out of the steamer, I can put it immediately into the ice bath and stop the cooking. Okay? So what we're going to do after is we're going to put hot water in here. We're going to make a bain-marie, okay? And the towels are going to keep the ramekins from sliding around, because if they slide around, what can happen is the water might go inside of it, right? We don't want that, right? Normally I wouldn't use kitchen towels because these are like valuable, right? It's like gold in the kitchen, right? There's like gold, silver, money, and kitchen towels, and it's all the same currency. I would just use cardboard. Okay, take a cardboard box, cut out the shape you need, push it in, soak it with a little bit of water, works perfectly. Okay, they don't slide around, they don't move, keeps them very centered and anchored. Okay, try to keep it clean. Yeah. Hello. That's why you have the jug. Yeah? If I wanted it all over the place like a Pablo Picasso painting, I would just tell you to throw it in there. All right. So while he's working on that, and my good friend Blender Top is cleaning up our dishes. I'll go and get the foie gras from the steamer, and then we're going to switch these two around. First, the foie gras mixture has become very, very soft. Start to liquefy a little bit, the oil is starting to come out of it. But for the most part, it's still a solid mixture. Okay? This is going to go straight into an ice bath. And I want this to cool down and re-solidify. Next thing we're going to do, stop for a second, move this one out. Yeah, wonderful. Right there. Lots of space, okay? Keep going, keep going, keep going. All right, now Mr. Boss,
Yes, chef.
fill this up with hot water from the hot water machine. All right, you got one. You go as well. So we're going to use this again to use for our torchon. Once it's solidified and chilled a bit, then we're going to pour it into here. We're going to use a plastic scraper, dough scraper, to force it through our tammy. Not really a tammy, but we don't have a tammy. And this will make the mixture fine and make sure that any little bits of vein that might be in there aren't in there anymore. Okay? So that's an important step for that. Lovely. Fill up your jug. Now, to eat our foie gras, I like to use some bread because, I mean, as much as I like to eat foie gras straight, it's a little much, okay? So I went to my friend's bakery, got some bread. Yes, one is a baguette, that's correct. The other one is a raisin walnut bread. Yeah. Just leave it right there for now. One more, yeah.
Come here.
We got some baguette here, which we can use to eat with the seared foie gras. And I've got some fig, raisin walnut bread to have with the custard.
Heard you know where the best croissants in town are.
I do.
Where?
Oh, if I told, then everybody would know. And they wouldn't have the best. Ultimately, this is like a test of your knife here, yeah? If your knife is sharp, you should be able to cut very easily through a baguette, yeah? See how it's not crushing? Yeah? I'm fairly certain if I grabbed some of your knives and tried to cut a piece of this bread, what would I be left with?
Crumbs.
It would probably look something more like this. And then I have to pull it apart, okay? So this is also another big reason why it's important to have sharp knives. Okay. There is a shop on Oilu called Pan E Cafe. I think it's called our Cafe E Pan. I can't remember now.
Are you misdirecting us?
What's that?
Are you misdirecting us?
No. What? E Cafe. I don't know anything about that, but I'm talking about the best croissants in probably maybe in Taiwan. Maybe not Taiwan. A couple places in Taipei have some pretty amazing croissants as well. But anyways, there's a place up on. Jim, do you need something? All right, now what we're gonna do. Yeah, they make the best. Really good. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take some hot water and carefully pour this hot water down the side of my baking pan. water. Can I get the other water, please?
Chef, do you still need ice water?
So now I got my hot water in here, okay, in my custards. Okay, I've just covered them with plastic wrap. Now normally what I would do is I would actually take this to the oven where I'm going to use. So for example, if this oven isn't working, I mean it's not that it's not working, it's didn't clean it so it doesn't work. I would take the tray over to the oven first. I would load my tray into my oven, then I would fill it with hot water. Yeah, because it's easier than trying to carry around the tray full of hot water, right? Obviously I don't have that option today because it doesn't work, so we won't do that today. Next, what we're going to do is take this over to the other room, get it in the steamer. I'm also making sure when I put this down, when I lay the plastic over top, that I'm pulling it very tight, because I don't want the plastic to dip down onto the top of the custards. Okay, I don't want the plastic to touch the surface, or else it will stick, and when I peel it off later, it will leave a...
So these are going to steam, right?
Yeah.
So what about like any of the condensation of the steam?
There won't really be any condensation on the inside. Very, very little. And by the time the condensation forms, the custard will set on top.
Okay.
And then the residual heat from the custard will evaporate the steam. So good question. If I didn't wrap it, there would be lots of moisture on top. Who has a steady set of hands? Okay. All right, let's go.
And water is tested.
What?
Water is tested.
No. Okay. But it still needs to be cooled for a little bit longer until it's nice and chilled. So we're going to take a 5-minute break. You guys stretch your legs, get some water, use the bathroom, whatever you need to do. And then we'll finish up with stuff. I was joking about the boss. Boss. All right. Are we going? So I'm going to take my marinated foie gras out from the cold water. I'm going to open up my bag. And then we're going to simply pour this into my, like I said, normally I would use a tammy, okay? But today we're just going to use this fine strainer, okay? And then again, using a plastic dough scraper. These things are really... So I'm just using a little bit at a time. I'm just going through. Is that olive oil? Then yes. Okay, so just going through here. And this process is much easier with a tammy because the tammy will fit right over a bowl as opposed to this, which keeps sliding off, but that's fine. And so we just want to go back and forth, pressing our marinated foie gras mixture through our tammy. going to clean off a little bit of the side here. As I mentioned, a tammy would work much better because it fits right over the bowl. Okay? Whereas this is not ideal, but it'll still work. So I'm also just going to go through and clean off Boss, you see on the bottom of that trolley there's a spatula? Can you grab it for me?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. I'm just going to switch to, thank you. I'm just going to switch to a spatula to make it a little bit easier because my hands are just getting too covered in pate. The only thing that should be left in the tammy or the strainer when you're done is just little bits of veins, if there are any. There's a few in here, but not much. And boss, can you give me some ice, please? A bowl of ice.
Like,
You can walk the. Okay. So now we've got our separated and pureed, very finely pureed foie gras. So there's just a little tiny bit of vein left in there. That's a lot of ice. So what I'm going to do is just put this on ice for a minute just to help chill it down. Give this a quick mix. And so now you can see you've got this smooth, homogeneous paste or pate of foie gras. Okay? So I'm just going to put this on ice for a minute. I'm going to go and check on the steamer real quick next door, and I'll be right back. Torchon in some plastic. So I'm going to take just a sheet of plastic wrap. And boss, can you grab me the piping bag off the top of that trolley, please? Blue piping bag, you see it? That's the one. Okay, so I've got my foie gras mix here, which is just about cold enough. So what I want to do is cool it down so that I can pipe it out and it keeps a better shape, okay? Remember that after pressing it through the tammy or the sieve, it warms up, right? Because of friction, right? So it gets thinner. So what I want to do is to chill it down a little bit so it's a little easier to work with. Almost like the consistency of soft butter. Okay. get my torchon into the piping bag here. And you can do one of a few things here. This can be piped directly into a dish if you wanted to serve it as an appetizer or as part of a course, okay? So you don't have to roll it like I'm rolling it. It's just that the torchon is a classical dish of rolled foie gras. Okay, so if you ever see torchon on a menu, it means rolled foie gras. Okay. Yeah, this you could pipe into a dish and just chill and serve with butter. At this point you could also, if you wanted, whip this with butter and make a foie gras butter to serve with bread. Okay, at the beginning of a course, okay? So now what I want to do is just pipe a very big roll . Then I'm just going to roll it over on itself, okay? Tighten it down a little bit, and then roll it just into a nice little log here, and gently roll it up. And pinch the ends shut, and I'm just going to start to twist, and this will tighten up the roll, okay, and make it form a nice even log. Okay, so what I'm going to do with one end is tie it into a knot. Now, what I want to do with this is take a small knife and poke very small holes where there's little bits of air. Okay, so once I've got that rolled and all the air is out of it, I'm going to tie off my other end. And this is going to go back into the ice water to set. And toss. Or ice, please. So that's how you make a torchon, okay? So like I said, this could be made by marinating the foie gras and then pressing it in a plastic and rolling it, hanging it, and poaching it. But I find this method to be much easier. Because instead of having to wait 2 or 3 days to make it, I could use this the same day, okay? Very easily on the same day. So now while we're waiting for our foie gras to steam, we'll slice some foie gras for cooking. And some I'll just keep as is. Just dump it on top of the foie gras, please. Okay. now I want to slice some foie gras. So to do that, I'm going to take my large lobe here, okay? I'm going to take a knife and some hot water, okay? This will make it easier to get a nice clean slice through the foie gras. I'm going to take the front piece off. Okay, so you see I get just a very nice clean slice, yeah? That's quite important when you're doing this. Yeah.
So what's the difference between using hot water and blowing like torch on a knife?
Nothing. But then you have to have a torch here going the whole time, which I wouldn't trust you around.
Trust?
I don't. But it's not a very good idea to have a blowtorch just blowing in the wind so you can use your knife, right? This I can just dip it in. I can have two knives, right? I can have a paring knife and a large knife, and I put one in. I use one. I just rotate, right? There's no stopping, right? Using a blowtorch, you're probably going to burn your knife too, right? You burn your knife, you burn the foie gras, right? So I'm going to cut fairly nice thick slices here, and then leave these on the tray just to start to get room temperature before we cook them. It's not a great idea to cook foie gras directly from the fridge because the inside temperature doesn't get warm enough. To make it palatable to eat. And if I see a small vein, I'll just pull it out as I cut. Also using fish tweezers, so the same kind of tweezers you'd use for pulling fish bones is also fairly effective for pulling the veins from foie gras. Now there's a couple ways you can do this. Some people like to score foie gras, okay, before they cook it, and I'll show you that in just a minute once I finish cutting some more pieces here. And we probably won't use this one. I'll save this one. I should have saved this one. When you purchase foie gras, as I mentioned before, it comes in different grades, right? A, B, and C. But aside from the grades as well, foie gras comes, the lobes will usually come in different sizes, right? So depending on the grade you get and the size of your lobe, the price will be very different, right? You can buy one piece and it'll cost you $2,300, and you can buy one more package and it can cost you $3,400, right? So foie gras is very, very expensive. So you have to be very careful the way you use it, okay? So these extra pieces here I'll save and use for something else. And we can use just the nice large lobes of foie gras for us to eat. You guys done?
Yeah.
You need a key for the equipment?
Yeah.
Probably, yeah. You make sure I get it back. Are you working in the office today?
Yeah.
Okay. Just me and you, Vinny. Nobody else there?
Yeah.
Yeah. What? Okay, how many people do we have in here?
2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20,
28?
We can have 29 pieces, chef.
I'm not giving you guys 29 pieces of foie gras. Are you completely...
I can have 2 pieces.
You can have none. How about that? How about that? You have 0 pieces. That you have negative pieces. You owe me a piece. Okay? So next week, you have to come with a piece of foie gras for me, okay?
I'm a good boy, chef. You make your food.
You just refer yourself as a good boy? Anyways. I reckon not everyone here is going to like foie gras, so not everybody needs to have a whole piece.
You don't like it. That's more than really.
So you can also buy foie gras in whole loaves like we have here, right? So an entire piece of foie gras, okay? Or you can buy it pre-cut, okay? Usually that comes in around 30 gram, so one bag has about 40, 30 gram pieces, okay? Or you can buy it in 45 gram pieces. So it really depends on what your operation is. A lot of places for different operations, it's easier for them to buy it pre-cut, okay? The only problem with that is that the being pre-cut and being frozen, it tends to have a pretty poor quality, you know, because it'll be freezer burnt, so it'll have a little bit of frost on it and stuff like that. So it's not always the nicest of qualities, okay? But if you're working in like a larger restaurant chain that is more focused on volume rather than quality, you might find it easier to just serve that to your guests because the kitchen staff probably can't keep up with the production rate of the foie gras you need, okay? But it really depends, okay? So all I'm going to use to cook the foie gras is a little bit of good sea salt, truffle oil, and butter, okay? We'll start it with a little bit of neutral oil, vegetable oil, nice and high heat, okay? And then at the very end of the cooking process, we will turn down the heat and go from there. Let's see, how much do I have here? There's 19 pieces, that's at least half a piece per person. That's plenty. Actually, technically, since boss doesn't get one, someone else gets 2 pieces and boss gets no pieces.
Have mercy.
Boss gets, when you say have mercy, it'd be better if you did that with a Jamaican accent, like, Lord have mercy. Something like that would probably be more effective than just saying, Lord have mercy.
Good boy, you want it, sir? What's the time you want?
I think the student cafeteria today, they have foie gras for you. I'm pretty sure. So this is just about solid, okay? But not quite, okay? So this I'm going to also move to the fridge so that it can chill much faster. And then we'll start to cook our foie gras. All right. When you're cutting things like bacon or meat, there's a right way to cut it and a wrong way to cut it. Okay? This is the wrong way to cut it. Yeah? Because the belly runs this way. Yeah? So when you cut bacon, you go like this. Yeah? Along with the belly. Okay? Not on the short side. Okay? So please remember that when you're cutting bacon, don't cut with the grain, cut against the grain. You understand what the grain of the meat is?
Yeah.
Yeah? You all understand grain, the grain of meat? You all understand that?
Yes.
Everybody? Are you sure? The grain of the meat. You know, like a tree, right? A tree, when you cut a tree in half, right? there's the rings, right? So meat is the same way. Meat has strands that run a certain direction. Okay? So for example, in us, in your arm here, they run here. From your wrist to your elbow, right? And from your elbow to your shoulders, right? But on the belly, because you have overlapping muscles, you might have a muscle group that runs this way and this way. Okay? So depending on the grain direction of the meat, you want to cut against the grain. So if the grain runs like this, you want to cut like this. Because that grain is connective tissue. Okay? Connective tissue is what makes meat tough. Okay? What makes meat tough. It sounded weird coming out of my head. If you cut with the grain, you're going to get a slice of meat that is still a whole piece of connective tissue, okay? Which will be very tough to eat. Okay, so you always want to look at a piece of meat, observe the grain that it's running, and cut against the grain or across the grain, okay? Now, like I said, for foie gras, there's a few ways you can do this here, okay? I'm just going to start getting some pans warming up. And I also want to get some baguette heating up. Oven. All right. Now we're not going to do this today because I'm fine. For me to cook foie gras with the score or without a score is fine. But a lot of places, a lot of chefs, a lot of restaurants, what they like to do is score the foie gras in one direction, and then again in another direction. And they'll do this on both sides, okay? It's usually done on both sides right before cooking, okay? And of course you want to have a nice sharp knife and keep it clean, okay? And what this does after it cooks, it just makes it look pretty. Okay? It also helps a little bit in making sure that the foie gras cooks evenly. Okay? Like I said, I'm not going to do that today because we'll get into foie gras cooking later in different courses. So now I just want you guys to see how foie gras is cooked. And it cooks the same. I mean, the end product is going to be basically identical. It's just going to look slightly different. Okay? It just won't have that crisscross pattern. Okay? Ooh, crisscross. The other thing too is sometimes places will coat it in flour first before they fry it. Okay? Again, if you're going to take something nice like foie gras and then coat it in flour, you should probably just not take something nice like foie gras and even cook it. Okay? It's best to just cook it straight at it. Okay? No coating, no breading, no flour, no nothing. Just a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper. Okay? And like I said, we are going to cook ours in just some hot oil first. Then I'm going to finish it with some butter, okay? And a little truffle oil and a little bit of sea salt, good quality sea salt, okay? So here's just some nice French sea salt. We got some good quality white truffle oil. I've got a pan here ready for my foie gras, okay? Again, mise en place, right? I've got my foie gras, I've got my seasoning, I've got my butter, I've got my truffle oil. I've also got my spatula, I've got my tray, I've got my paper towel. I'm not putting the foie gras in the pan and running around going, right? Because that's not good planning. We're going to get these pans nice and hot. That's just going to start to cook right away. I'm not going to overload my pan. A nice amount of color on each side of the foie gras. And then flip it over. And you recall, I didn't start with a lot of oil, right? But you can see now in the pan there's a lot of oil, right? And that's because of the fat rendering down from the foie gras. Okay, now I'm going to take a piece of butter. Swirl that around with them. Cooked piece of foie gras set so the oil can sort of reside back into them. If I just put them on a plate now, it would leak oil all over the plate, okay? And the customer would think, oh, it's oily, right? Even though it's not really oily, it's foie gras. So again, we're going to take our foie gras right into our pan here. Same process. Cook this foie gras. Add a touch of butter at the end. Be able to see with the cooked ones the difference with the piece that was scored and the piece that was not scored. two questions asked. One was, do I keep the fat from the cooking? The answer is yes, because it's got a lot of flavor. It's basically just foie gras and butter now, okay? With a small amount of oil, but primarily it's just foie gras and butter. And the other question was,
Do you think clarified butter?
you can, yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, you don't have to, but
Would it be any advantages of that, or no?
we would have a slightly higher smoking point, but I'm already going to smoke it's already going to go really hot anyway, so I'm not too concerned about the smoking point. So now at the end, I'm just going to take a little bit of nice sea salt.
Chef, what's the difference between using oil to fancy the foie gras and not using oil?
What's the difference? You're not going to get as much caramelization without the oil, and it could stick. So a little bit of nice, again, you would not use sea salt, or not use table salt for this, right? Because that would just be a complete, huge waste, okay? And then a little bit of truffle oil. And then you can see, I don't know if you can see, but you see this is the one that we scored before. Okay, you see on the top here, there's a bit of a crisscross pattern, so you can see a definite difference between the two. All right, you guys can come up, 2 people at a time. 2 people at a time. Only 2. Yeah, okay, you 2 come on up, please. Come around. I'm not gonna serve it for you. No, not you, boss. Yeah, because I asked a question, you gave me a stupid answer. So that's what you get, right? You already had another piece according to you, right? How was that? Good? So you can see probably why it's so expensive, huh? Because it's a very luxurious type product. All right, I'm gonna go check on our custard. I'll be right back. We'll cut up our torchon. It should be just in time. Hot water, it's not very hot water. All right, our torchon now. This will be completely solid, okay? And so I'm just going to trim away the very end. So now you can see I've got just a solid pate, okay? Foie gras pate. But when you eat it, it'll just liquefy in your mouth. Okay, your body heat will be enough to liquefy it. All right. So we've got this raisin walnut bread, which I think should go fairly well with it. And I think our liver parfait, the custards that are in the steamer, we're going to put those in the fridge and we'll eat those next week. Okay, because they're going to be too hot to eat now. And we don't really have time to wait for them to cool down. So next week we'll eat the parfaits that we made today, but we'll take a look at them now.
Chef?
Yep.
What's the difference between a terrine and a torchon?
What's the difference between a terrine and a torchon? A lot. A terrine can be made out of fish. A torchon is only made out of foie gras. That's it. It's just a foie gras torchon. That's it. Okay? A terrine is made out of fish, it can be made out of vegetables, it can be made out of meat. Generally speaking, good. Yeah. You got water. You got water all over these things. So you have to carry it straight. Yeah. But you have to carry it straight, flat. Yeah. You came around the corner. I tell you, like this. There's water all over it now. Okay. When you're carrying something, you have to carry it level. You know, level, flat. Yeah, not like this, not like this. Now this is what they're all covered in water. Besides, you have to do things a little more professionally. You know, if you're going to carry something, carry it properly. If you're going to do something, do it properly. Yeah. When you go work in a restaurant, if you're going to work like that, they're going to say, "Get out, please. No, thank you," because it's more harmful. Man. You're gonna, that now costs us money, right? We can't serve that because it's full of water. So if you're gonna do something, you have to do it properly, or you're not gonna be able to do it. All right. So now we're gonna take some of our foie gras here. I'm just gonna cut it straight down the middle. The rest I'm gonna put back in the fridge for now. So now you see we've just got this nice foie gras pâté or torchon. Okay, and I'm just going to slice little rounds that are going to go onto our bread. Maybe not quite so thick. And you guys can start to come up in an orderly fashion. Okay, not like a bunch of wild animals. You can add a little bit of sea salt. Okay. You can also add a little bit of truffle oil if you want. So you can add a little bit of sea salt, a little bit of truffle oil. A little bit of sea salt, a little bit of truffle.